We're currently sitting at 12,600 acres with approximately 500 people assigned. Operating cost is estimated to be at around $4 million with 0% containment. We have a lot of good favorable conditions today, allowing us to tie in some areas along the 260 and the 373. We did a pretty successful firing up on that. We constructed some dozer line outside of the community of the 26 bar that we're tying into the Little Colorado River. We do have a pretty good amount of people working on the 409 road. We're going to tie that into the 8357A road, and we're going to tie that in on the 261 there, and then we're going to be working pretty hard on that tonight. We did have quite a bit of air ops today. We had 7 helos flying out on the fire today, and of course 1 air attack directing proper drops on that.
With the forecast this weekend, just how big of a concern is the wind and kind of the conditions you guys are expected to be facing?
Well, you know, wind is always a concern when you're fighting fire. You never let your guard down on that. Tonight we're going to be working pretty hard and tying in quite a bit, doing quite a bit of firing operations to square things up for the red flag warnings that might be coming this weekend.
And it looks like there's some hot spots that are popping up around properties, cabins, homes. Is this fire spreading in ways that you guys maybe aren't anticipating, or is maybe a little more unusual?
You know, fire behavior is to be expected. We do have quite a few structure protection task force out there, which are usually consisting of a Type 1 engine that's 4 staff that is triaging over, I believe, over 100 homes today. And what they do is they go and look for the dispensable space around them, and they prep the homes just to make sure that they are protectable to the best of their ability.
And a lot of people in this community anxious to get back in their homes or for this to get any containment. What's your message to people who live in this area tonight?
Well, I mean, as a resident here, I absolutely feel you. My family did evacuate themselves as well. And I know we're all anxious to get back in there, but we also want to make sure that you get back in there when it's safe to do so. Just for a talk on safety, for our personnel right now, we were told an estimated 1-hour extraction if any of our personnel go down. And that is a big concern for us. And, you know, if citizens were in there that we have to extract, you know, we have to get to them too and figure in that factor for rescue.
Chris, thank you guys. There's a bit of an update on kind of the firefighting operations and everything officials are doing here. We'll have more reaction from people who live in this community coming up tonight at 9. Hey, Chris, a question from over here, if we can.
Absolutely.
When you say 12,600 acres, I believe that's the same acreage we got about late this morning. Is it accurate to say that some of these conditions allowed for that acreage to not increase rapidly?
So we get our acreage from 2 sources. So one, there is a thing called a tab, which is total acres burned, that gets reported to our dispatch, and that will push to update the acres. And also from nighttime ops with infrared flights, and that will pick up any hot spots, and then we get a more accurate GPS. At this time, that is what we're holding at. It may change overnight, of course. With the firing operations, we definitely will see an increase of acreage, but that's not necessarily a negative thing, as we're scoring up lines and reinforcing that box.
How far would you say the fire line is from kind of the Eager community, downtown Eager, if you will, because we see the smoke, but we can't necessarily see flames?
So, I mean, it's just outside of town out here at a 26 bar. I believe that's probably approximately 7 miles outside of town there.
Yeah. And how, I mean, if you could give people who live in this area who maybe are on set status an idea of where you guys are at in terms of preventing that from reaching this area, what is your estimation there?
You know, always have a go bag ready to go with a 72-hour kit. Have your medications and anything, personal items in there that you may cherish. Just be ready to go. Just have everything packed. Make sure your vehicle is full of fuel, and pay attention. Don't wait. Just get out when that message comes through.
We've heard from some folks who really do remember the Wallow fire back in 2011. How far away is the current blaze right now from maybe some burn scars from that fire?
It's in the burn scars right now, absolutely. That's where you're running into a lot of jackstraw deading down fuel, and then of course you have your light flashy fuels that are regenerated over time in that scar.
Does that help you guys, or is that added difficulty to it?
You know, it makes it a little bit more difficult there because you have a lot of safety hazards, especially with the night ops. You have a lot of snags that can come down. You know, we have a lot of wind thrown that comes down, especially in the burn scar area there.
Okay. And it's currently burning on what land? Is this BLM land? Is this state land? What would you say?
So it started on state land and it is moving into forest land, a combination of private as well.
Okay. And then the South Fork area that is evacuated, some residents believe there may be somewhere in the range of 50 homes in that area. Has it reached any of those in the South Fork area?
You know, I haven't had any updates on structure triage as far as damage on that, but I know we do have a lot of personnel actively working in that area.
We know you all have been watching closely for that second ridge line. How close is it to that ridge line?
Are you referring to the one behind 26 bar there? Yes. I mean, it is probably a quarter mile from that ridge line there.
What proactive measures were being done today as we expect those winds to get up to gusts of 40 mile an hour tomorrow?
So we tied in that dozer line there from Udall Road to the little Colorado River in there to prep, and then we also had that structure protection task force assigned to that area in case it comes down the ridge.
We spoke to a police officer today who gave us some information. I'd love to have some more enlightenment on it about the white smoke. Is that a sign that it's burning at lower levels and not it's kind of taming a bit?
So there's a lot to be said about smoke on a fire. You can actually read the fire behavior quite a bit, and it depends on what fuels it's burning. So your white smoke is usually your light flashy fuels, whereas when you see that dark black smoke, you're getting into stuff that has a lot higher fuel moisture, like your ponderosa pines and that sap and the greenery that goes along with that.
We haven't seen a ton of, and correct me if I'm wrong, it burning up trees almost. Is that it's staying on lower level vegetation?
Correct.
On the ground?
So you're referring to what's called torching and crowning.
Okay.
And in this case, you know, our flame lengths are pretty manageable. They're not running, they're not extreme. They're just burning that undergrowth and duff and creeping along.
Okay.
People see that 0% contaminant, and I think they see that number. How would you characterize how you feel just the efforts are going and how much of a possible handle you guys have on this fire?
Well, you know, we're doing the best we can to tie it into that box there. I'll touch base a little bit on containment versus controlled containment. Means that there is line cut all the way around the fire, but there can still be active fire around it, and it's not contained until we burn off from those control lines into the interior of the fire.
We saw a few helicopters leaving the airport today with water drops. Do you know how many, an estimate number of water drops or aerial attacks you had today?
I don't have an estimate on the exact number of drops that they made. I do know that we had 7 helicopters on today.
Anything else, Chris?
That's all I got for you, unless you have any other questions, sir.
That's good. Thank you so much.
What was your name again and spell it in your title?
Yeah, my name is Chris Lopez, and I'm a public information officer.
CHRIS?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.